Hello, good morning, and welcome to today's live class. I am a couple of minutes late, you will notice, but not to worry. Today, we're looking at, what are we looking at? You're looking at me, I'm looking at the window, I'm looking outside and looking at the rain and the fog, because today, IELTS Speaking is all about the topic of weather. So, let's see. First of all, before we jump into weather, just to remind you, if you've not been here before, my name is Keith. I do run the IELTS website, IELTS Speaking Success. So if you want to improve your speaking skills, that is the place to go. www.ieltsspeakingsuccess.com. Lots of stuff there for you to find. Great. Welcome, everybody. We've got lots of people that have joined us today. We've got Mary, good morning from London. Elena, hello, how are you? Abhilasha, Mohammed Abu, great to see you. Min as well, nice to see you here through YouTube. Sita, good morning. Abhilasha, Emily, great to see you as usual. Asanti, Huda, some very familiar names now. Yunzu, great to see you. Punma Puri, nice as well. Got loads of people. Gladys, Lariel, Shell. I'm going to go right through to the bottom to catch up. Radhika and Moya, nice to see you here. Fantastic. Right. Sophia is on the way home after the IELTS exam. Sophia, how did it go? And I'm so impressed that after the stress of an exam, you're coming into another class to do IELTS speaking. You are a shining example of brilliant studentship, if that word exists, and if it doesn't, it should do. Hello, Malika and Ahmed, nice to see you. Lots of people. Terence, good morning. And let's move on, okay? I'm going to go try and keep up with your messages, but of course it's impossible. Dahinja, nice to see you. And Tanja, good morning, all the way from Facebook, the beautiful Facebook land. Stephen, nice to see you, and Sana and Lan from Vietnam, good morning to you. Quite a few people from Vietnam. Kim as well. Jahin from the Philippines, lovely, nice. Right, so guys, I am very well, thank you. Aisel, good to see you. Good to see you, Cheng from Hong Kong. Right, got Marcus and Kaor, great, good morning, sir. Teresa, nice to see you, all of you. So guys, today we are looking at a topic which is so important because it comes up a lot in part 1, part 2, and part 3. And it's the weather, right? It's the weather. I did ask you yesterday, what was the weather like in your country? And I'm going to go and have a look at that in a moment. But first of all, let's begin with questions. So to share with you some of the questions we have at the moment, actually, right? We've got this question. A part 2 question, describe a time when an activity you did was delayed due to the bad weather. Holy moly, right? An activity was delayed due to the weather. Now, that could be all sorts of things, right? It may be a football match and it starts raining. It may be an outdoor wedding. Maybe you decided to get married and suddenly that activity, it's an event, but it's also an activity. It got delayed. Why would you get married outside? Isn't it better to get married inside? You have better acoustics, better music, especially with the singing. I don't know. Some people like to get married outside. Some people like to get married underwater. I mean, lots of very strange things, right? But Hamid, good point, job interview. That would be the best. If your job interview was delayed due to the bad weather, possibly. Maybe the interviewers were caught in a traffic jam because of the rain, and so they couldn't get there. So the activity was delayed, maybe. But all sorts of outdoor activities come to mind, right, that you may be doing. Sports games, fairs, all of those might be delayed due to bad weather. Although it could be not just rain, but it could be storms, hurricanes, tornadoes, snow blizzards, right? Lots of things like that. We can look at all of these in a moment. Thank you for your love. Somebody sent me love. Nhung, love from Vietnam. Thank you very much. Yes. Excellent. Due to the hurricane, delayed in the flight due to the hurricane. Yes, yes. Now, delayed in the flight, but you need to focus. So not the flight, because the flight is the flight and activity. It's not really an activity. You need to focus on the activity that was delayed. So if, for example, lots of people are flying to a conference and nobody can get there, so the conference is postponed or delayed because nobody could get there because of the flight, then yes, absolutely. A workshop might be delayed, absolutely. Yes, good. Brilliant. Ooh, yeah, interesting, Wenting. Very, very good. Charmaine says hiking. Absolutely. If you go hiking, that activity can be delayed by the bad weather. Absolutely. All sorts of bad weather. Thank you, Rita. And Lakshmi cancelled a meeting with his or her friend due to bad weather. Yes, absolutely. Yes, because maybe you can't get there. Now, Catherine, that's interesting. So Catherine says, my IELTS exam was delayed 3 weeks because of bad weather in Egypt and then postponed because of the coronavirus. But the coronavirus is not bad weather. But the bad weather in Egypt, yes. Thunderstorms, that will delay lots of activities. I love this expression, Ilya. This is lovely. Activities may get rained off. Make a note, everybody. Get your pen. And if you haven't got a pen, why not? Get your notebook. Make a note. Rained off. Right? The activity was rained off. Brilliant. Lovely. Nice. So, Elena from Iraq, you're talking about different kinds of weather here. North, mountain, cold air, southern, humid, hot areas. That's good. Brilliant. Typhoons. Great, Zozo. Nice to see you here. You can't sleep. That's why you're here. That's good. I'm delighted that you're here. So, lots of reasons, right? Sorry, I've still got my breakfast. You know, sometimes you get the cereal or toast stuck in your teeth. Sorry, it's still there. Okay. Now, and this is a very good one, Rahul. The time when me and my friends went to watch a cricket match, but unfortunately the match got what? Got abandoned due to heavy rain. Love it. Heavy rain. Nice collocation. The match was abandoned. Delayed or abandoned can mean delayed, right? Just make sure you don't say cancelled because it was delayed. So it did happen later. It's a small point, but it's worth getting right. Okay, so I'm going to just share with you now other questions that come up on this topic, and then we'll look at language a bit more. So, right, here we go. Wait. It moves so fast. Stop moving so fast. What is the weather like? Hang on a minute. Okay, what is the weather like in your country? Great question, especially in part one. Do you think the weather will affect certain types of jobs? Nice question. The other one is, what causes the weather to change? Do you remember your school geography? We'll explain that. Difficult question, but lots of things to talk about, right? Okay. Now, just in case you're wondering what this is, this piece of paper. In fact, I'm wondering what that is. This is not my usual room. This is my daughter's room, and you can probably find out why in a minute. Look at that. She's been doing maps. She's been learning maps and flags. And isn't this clever? So she's drawn the flag, or she's coloured the country in the colour of the flag and the shape of the flag. Look at that. This is where we live over here. I can't do it. Boom, boom, boom. Spain. That's where we are now. Brilliant. Very imaginative. Now then, so let's have a look. What is the weather like in your country? Right. This is quite nice. This is going back one. Somebody just answered this. It's starting to rain cats and dogs, so I didn't go for the groceries. For grocery. For the groceries. The groceries. Nice. Raining cats and dogs is one of those kind of old-fashioned expressions. I mean, it's okay. To be honest, we don't use it very much in England at the moment. Okay. Brilliant. Oh, there's lots of different things coming up here. I couldn't attend my duty due to floods in the river caused by heavy rain. Great. Great. And that could be, especially for your job, right? If you're working in the rain. I'm getting distracted. That was the previous question. Let me rush down. Elena, I'm not sure. She's more brilliant than her dad, I think. Now then, Huda, here we go. Let's get into the weather, the really nice nitty-gritty, the real stuff. It's boiling hot in summer and freezing cold in winter. Make a note. That is lovely, Huda. It's nice because it's not just hot, it's cold. It's boiling hot. It's freezing cold. Love it. Some people, depending where you live, you may have a temperate climate, as Hawaii says. Absolutely. Brilliant. I'm sure, Andy, Ukraine is a lovely place. Brilliant. Now then, for India, we've got quite a few people from India here. India experiences monsoon during the month of May. Monsoons with monsoons. And that's nice. India experiences. Instead of saying India has, India experiences monsoons. Great. Most of the people like rainy days. I love rainy days. Me too. Right. Brilliant. Good. Now then, not far away in Sri Lanka, we have a dry climate. Most of the people here are farmers, and farmers mainly depends on the good weather. Farming mainly depends on the good weather. Yeah, nice, very good. Very, very good. Great. What have we got? Right, we've got Iran over here. Masa. The weather in Tehran is rainy right now, but most of the time the weather is cool. Great. The weather can be hot, cold, mild, cool. Brilliant. Hong Kong, William, nice to see you. Warm temperatures. Great. So we can have high temperatures, hot temperatures, warm temperatures, mild temperatures in the middle, and at the bottom, low temperatures, low and freezing temperatures. Remember? Brilliant. Great. Now then, here's another nice word from Queen Victoria. Queen Victoria? Seriously? Oh, not just Queen Victoria the First. Queen Victoria the First. I think there was only one in England. Scorching summer. Scorching is a nice word. And you can see from her lovely emoji, scorching hot. Excellent. Very, very good. Nice one. Another one here from Jayanta. Baking hot. Right? Metaphorical, idiomatic, because it's like baking in the oven. It's baking hot here. Very, very good. Wow, you guys are good. Look at this, Muhammad. This is brilliant. In my country, the weather is pouring. Right, it's pouring means it's raining a lot. It's pouring, it's raining. Very, very good. Right, nice one there. The one from Kazakhstan about the strong windstorm. Certain jobs and cancelled. Great. I can't pronounce your name because I don't know how to read Cyrillic script. I'm so sorry. Joe from Korea. There are 4 seasons. I strongly believe the weather could affect several jobs. I'm going to come on to the jobs in a minute, Joe. Let's stay with weather. Yeah, now then, Saudi Arabia, I'm aware of this. It's too hot, 2 with, 9 O's. Good. So most of the outdoor activities were delayed. Yeah, right. Okay, brilliant, good. So let's see more about weather. So we've got, again, the extremes in Hong Kong, scorching while the winter is freezing cold. Come on, Chung, the winter is freezing cold. Now, the winter in Hong Kong, with all respect, is not freezing cold. It probably is for you, but come to England and we'll show you freezing cold. Go to Scotland. Did you watch the video about Scotland? On the Facebook page, there's a video all about Scottish weather. Now that's freezing cold. But Chung or Jasmine, I think it's relative, right? If you're used to hot weather, then I remember when I was in Hong Kong, it was like 8 or 9 degrees. People were like, oh, it's freezing. I was like in a t-shirt. Right. So the weather is amazing. It's getting rainy, then sunny, right? Very changeable weather. That's a nice word. The weather is changeable. It means it changes quite frequently. In England, the weather is changeable. There's a famous song, which is so true, called 4 Seasons in One Day. Do you remember that? 4 seasons in one day. Who was that? 4 Seasons in One Day. Crowded House. Brilliant song 20 years ago. And of course, in England, you do get 4 seasons in one day, right? It can be misty and foggy like today. Then it can be raining in midday and the sun comes out in the afternoon. Right, good. So dat, go, torrential rain, very nice. Collocation, heavy rain, torrential rain, really heavy. Makes the streets be locked down. Okay. So we've got a nice one here from Veronica. During the winter, it's mostly during winter. It is, right? Remember, it is sunny. It is mostly foggy and really humid. Humid meaning wet. But in the warmer seasons, there's a bright sun and nice temperatures, nice mild temperatures maybe. Okay, excellent. So listen, let me just share with you some vocabulary we've been looking at. So here we go. Let me make it bigger. As usual, everything's too small. Veronica, we have to say goodbye. How do I cancel you? Cancel Veronica. Poor Veronica. Boom, she'll disappear. There we go. Okay. So, well, what is the weather like in your country? Now, really, it's very good. Think about it, right? If your country's big, then it depends where, right? The country in the south of India is not the same as in the north of India. The country in St. Petersburg is not the same as up in right on the east coast. I can't think of a city on the east coast of Russia, or America, or in many big countries. It depends where. And it depends on the season as well. So you can identify, go more specific, and talk about one of them. What I wouldn't do, well, would I? Okay, if you go through each season, keep it short, right? Otherwise, it will be too long. For a part 1 question, if you say, for example, in England, we have 4 seasons: summer, autumn, winter, and spring. In the summer, it's sometimes quite hot. It's not as hot as other countries, but we get quite a bit of sunshine. Temperatures are not, well, we don't get scorching temperatures. They're fairly mild temperatures. In autumn, now at this point, right, the examiner is going to cut you off, because you're going to be here for 20 minutes describing all the seasons and the weather. So be careful with that if you want to describe all the seasons to show off, I know the name of the seasons, you've got to be really quick. You've got to be really like, in summer it's really hot. In winter it's freezing cold. Autumn we have lots of windy days. And in spring, well, as the flowers bloom and blossom, we get kind of mild temperatures. Right? Has to be quick. So I would suggest actually you take 1 season, right? So something like this, and go into detail, because the devil is in the detail. I mean, the secret is in the detail. That's where you get really good language. So what's the weather like in your country? Well, it depends on the season, right? We have 4 seasons. But let's take summer, for example. In the UK, the summer, we have fairly mild temperatures. Every once in a blue moon, we get some scorching hot days where people go sunbathing. But overall, it's a fairly temperate climate in the summertime. Right? I think that's better. because you're going into detail, you're bringing out different kinds of vocabulary. That's my idea. Anyway, so it depends where and on the season. We've got different kinds of weather. Hot, obviously. Mild is not that hot, like in England. It's quite a mild climate. We get mild weather, mild temperatures. Okay. Cold and wet. Okay. Now, different ways of expressing this. Let me just go through. Let's take these one at a time. It's blah, blah, blah in my country. So here we're using adjectives, right? So if you want to use adjectives, then we can say it's scorching, right? Now you remember, because some of you brilliant students pointed this out. Scorching is hot, really hot. Sweltering is the same, really hot. Boiling, the same, really hot. Jayanta gave us baking, right? Really hot. So those are great. It's scorching in my country. It's sweltering in my country in the summer. It's boiling in my country in the wet season. It's really baking in my country in August. Okay, you can see how to use it. Now, if you're getting cold, then we can say, obviously, it's cold. Quite chilly. This is very British, right? It's chilly. Not chili con carne, not chili as in eating chili, but chilly as in cold. It's quite chilly in my country in autumn and winter. If it's really cold, then it's freezing cold, is nice. We can talk about wet. We can talk about humid. It's quite humid. It's pretty humid. Notice, right, when we speak in English, here, we don't usually say it's cold, right? Most English people say it's an adverb. It's really cold. It's quite cold. Yeah, it's pretty cold. It's fairly cold. It's somewhat cold, right? These adverbs like this one are so natural, and it really just makes you sound English, British, American, Canadian, more like a native speaker, right? They're really powerful. They look so simple, right? Quiet, fairly, yeah. No, they're really good, really powerful. So use them. Great. Humid, if it's wet. Soaking wet, if it's really wet, all right? It's soaking. I am soaking wet. The weather is soaking wet in my country. Gloomy is just a bit, it's gloomy, not very nice, a bit dark, a bit grey, a bit like Scotland and England, a bit bleak, the same, not very nice. Yeah? And changeable, if it changes every day. So that's one way we can say it's blah, 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 in my country. Right, brilliant. Let me just show you another one here. So we've looked at adjectives there, but we can also look at nouns. So here, if you want to focus on nouns, we can use this. Well, we get a lot of bum bum. Put your noun in. Bum bum. We get a lot of sunshine in my country in the summer, right? Develop your phrases. We get a lot of tropical storms in the north of India in the monsoon season, right? We get a lot of. Another thing, don't think of words. Think of sound chunks. Get a lot of is one sound. Get a lot of. Get a lot of. Get a lot of. Sounds like a Polish writer, Mr. Get a lot of. Get a lot of. We get a lot of showers in England. Showers doesn't mean, soap washing your hair. I know. Showers is rain, right? A downpour. Some nice words here. Wow. They're brilliant. When did I do this? Showers, downpours, lovely words. We get a lot of downpours, right? So much better than rain. We get a lot of rain. Yes, okay, good. But make it a bit more interesting, bit band 7 and 8 level, right? We get a lot of downpours, get a lot of showers. We get quite a few showers, maybe. So we get a lot of rain, snow, wind. Yep. Heat waves is another one. And droughts. So if it doesn't rain for a long period of time, we get a lot of droughts. Now, funnily enough, in England, this is a strange dichotomy. It rains a lot. And yet every year in the summer, when it stops raining, like after a week, we have a drought. And the government gets all upset and angry, and the people are like, oh my God, we've got no water. Come on, it's crazy. We get droughts where there's not enough rain. And so people can't have a shower, they can't wash the car or even the bicycle because they're wasting water. Right, so we've looked at adjectives, right? Remember, boiling, baking. We've looked at adverbs quite fairly, somewhat. We've looked at nouns. We get a lot of And the last one is this one. Verbs, of course. Verbs. Verbs. So if you want to use verbs, it's always where I live. It's always raining where I live. Raining, to rain. So think of your verbs. To rain. Another word, again, think a bit more imaginative. Somebody gave us this earlier, right? Pouring. It's always pouring where I live. It's always pouring where I live. It's always pouring down. We often say pouring down. Down, I remember, was a downpour. It is pouring down. It's always pouring down where I live. It tends to pour down a lot where I live. It's always drizzling. Drizzling is that nice, soft rain, very fine rain, small raindrops. So it tends to drizzle in the north of England. That's a kind of light rain. I'll just make my notes a bit clearer. Pouring down, drizzling equals light rain. Snowing, sleeting. Sleeting is a mixture of snow and rain together, right? So it tends to sleet in the autumn in England. Great. So there are some ideas for you to start practicing. Let me come back to you guys. I've totally lost track of all of the comments. I'm going to come down and just see what we've got. Hello again. Do you know what I've forgotten? I've forgotten my drink. Because in the morning, I have to swap rooms with my daughter for the internet connection, and I've forgotten my drink. Can somebody go and prepare me a tea and give me a virtual tea? So, there, let's have. I'm just going to pick out a few examples here. Oog says, I live where I live where we have no winter time and our average temperature is 28. That's nice, average temperature. Unfortunately, during summertime, it's the hottest time. It's the hottest time. And you need air conditioners, of course. Exactly. Great. Vietnam has tropical weather. Lovely. Very, very nice. What else have we got? Somebody practicing drizzling. Lovely. Drizzling. Hala, I hope that's your daughter and not you. Brilliant. Oh, this is nice by Isra. We have a desert climate. Very good. Who's been studying geography? Nice. We have a desert climate characterized by heat during the day. Characterized by, that's lovely. That's Saudi Arabia. Very, very nice. Oh, this is good. Igor, nice. Kazakhstan, extreme continental, which means hot summers and Arctic level freezing cold. Arctic level freezing cold. Right, brilliant. Freezing cold. Very nice. From Taiwan, Emily says you have a subtropical climate. So summers can be quite hot. Love it. Humid and oppressive. Right, yeah, they can. They make you feel tired, right? I remember when I first moved to Taiwan, the first few weeks, I was just getting so tired so much. And I think it was the heat was just affecting my body, my whole brain and physiology. I just got really tired. Brilliant. Excellent, excellent, excellent. What else we got? I'm going to go streaming down. Boiling hot. Brilliant. I love it when you're using all this new language. In central Vietnam, it is hot there. I remember. I've been there as well. Danielle, freezing cold in Russia where I am. Not in Hong Kong. Freezing cold. Brilliant. Lovely. Right. Good. This one as well. We got the word experience again. Experience lots of weathers. Now, that's a very good point, Sophia. Excellent. Weathers is not countable. So you can't have a weather or weathers, right? It's a bit like, I don't know. It's a bit like what? Water, right? You can't have a water or waters. It's just uncountable. So I can experience lots of different kinds of weather, different kinds with an S of weather, no S, right? So I or we can experience lots of different kinds of weather in each season. Nice, Sophia. Good. And by the way, just a quick word about mistakes. I am, and I will correct your mistakes when you write it, okay? I want you to see mistakes as learning opportunities. Mistakes are fantastic. They are really, really good. And I'm so happy when people make mistakes because it shows they're trying to use new language. They're experimenting. And that is how you learn a language. And then if somebody can correct you, just try and remember and get it right. You may not get it right straight away, but the whole process is learning. It's so important to make mistakes. It really is important. If you're not making mistakes, I don't think you're learning as much as you could. So start making some mistakes. Brilliant. Thank you. Great. It's freezing from the northeast of China. It is. Dongbei. It's really cold up there. Gloomy day. Jayanta here as well. It's a very gloomy day. This is nice. I love it. Saeed, where you're in the north of Iran, right? So there are downpours and it's generally humid. Generally lovely. Love it. Love these adverbs. Keep them coming. Right. Now, Raul is leading us on to the next question. Oh, this is nice, actually. Just let me share this first. Mixed weather. Love it. Mixed weather. Changeable weather or mixed weather. Nice, Hatinder. That's good. Yep. Unseasoned cold weather in summer. Yep. Unseasoned cold weather in summer. Interesting. Good. Now, somebody is asking, hi, Keith, any idioms that we can use for weather? Idioms for weather. That's a good question. There are idioms for weather, aren't there? Talking about the weather. Well, if you include phrasal verbs as idiomatic expressions, and they are, then pouring down is one. Raining cats and dogs is a horrible expression. I'm not going to use that. So old-fashioned. There probably are. Let me think about that and let me come back to you. Before I've lost... let me come back to you. Where's Raoul gone? Raoul had a really good... Oh, no. I've lost you. You led me and I can't search you. We should have a search engine in the chat box. You were leading me into the bit about the next question. Never mind. Let me move on to the next question. Oh, brilliant. I can see all the examples here. Look at that. Budapest has a sun-flooded morning today. A sun-flooded, that's how we say flooded in the north of England. That's nice. Sun-flooded. Brilliant. The next question. Okay. Do you think the weather will affect certain types of jobs? Do you think the weather will affect certain types of jobs? There you go. Have a think about that. This is where normally I would drink my tea. but I can't. Come rain or shine. Brilliant. Let me make a note of these. People are coming out with some idioms. Of course, brilliant. If I don't know them, of course you know them. Brilliant. Come rain or shine is good. I'll share that with you in a moment. Brilliant. So we're thinking about jobs, right? Which jobs? Here we go. Definitely, says Gina. I think a pilot's job could be affected in the passive, could be affected by wind speed. Yeah, storms and wind speed will affect pilots. Brilliant. Very good. Good. Absolutely. For example, a courier's job. It's not the right spelling, Mohammed, but good. A courier's job. If you're carrying and taking parcels and packages, especially if you're on a bicycle, those in London, if it's pouring down and you're on a bike as a courier, then that will definitely affect you. Yes. It has a great impact on farming, doesn't it? Yes. Very big impact. If it freezes in the winter, that can affect your crops. If it rains too much, that can flood your crops. If it's really sunny too soon and all the flowers come out and the seeds start to crop and then suddenly it gets really cold again, that can kill a lot of the crops. Excellent, nice. People who work in constructions are affected by rainy or snowy weather. Yeah. And you know what the biggest problem with in construction? Because I used to work in construction in the summers when I was younger. I used to when I was studying, every summer I would work in construction to get a bit of extra money. And the biggest problem in construction is when it freezes. So it doesn't matter if it's raining, people will come out and they will still build a house if it's raining. But if it freezes, they can't. Why? Because the concrete to put the bricks on, it freezes. And if the concrete freezes, you can't work, you can't build. Concrete is the stuff you build the walls out of, or to put the bricks on top of each other. Great. Yep, absolutely. Tui was saying here about farmers. Absolutely true. Plays an essential role, especially related to jobs, especially farmers. Brilliant. Anything else? Construction workers we've got. What else have we got might be affected? Farmers. A lot of people have said farmers. I'm not sure what this is, Shalina. Field jobs. That sounds like research to me, like a researcher in the field, doing field research when you're actually asking questions and finding out research. But I wonder if you mean farmer, like farming in the field, right? I would say farmers. If it's research, that's good. Field jobs, researchers might be affected. I'm not sure why, but they might be. Here's a nice one from Fyung. Traffic police, influenced by the rain and storms. Yes, exactly. What else have we got? Yes, rock the boat. I'm not sure, Catherine. Is that a weather-related one? Well, I suppose it's not affected to the business because nowadays we can work from home independently. Yeah, so I suppose it doesn't affect business, right? It doesn't affect business. Yeah, because we can work from home. That's very, very true. Yes. This one is true. Construction again, building a house. Quite a few people have said construction. Couriers, great. Nicely spelt. Love it. Thank you. Fishers. Oh, Rima. That's a nice idea. The word is fisherman. 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 Now, unfortunately, it's one of those jobs where there are not many women. And so traditionally, even though there may be a woman fisher person, we say fisherman. A bit like postman, fisherman. We don't say fisher person, fisher people. No, maybe we should. Fisherman. Yep, they get affected. Absolutely. The storms at sea can affect their work. Okay, excellent. Undoubtedly. Yep. What's this one? Mary. Definitely, it will affect various jobs as skiing instructors. Now, that's interesting. I've never heard of that before. What's a skiing instructor? Oh, skiing, Keith. Hello. I just got it. Winter, snow, skiing. It's double I, S-K-I-I-N-G. Skiing. I was thinking like pilots or jumping out the sky, like the parachute. No. I think you mean skiing. Okay. Thank you. I'm laughing at me. Great. We've got lots more there. So yeah, I think you've touched upon, right? You've mentioned most of the important ones. Somebody's just come out with a nice idiom again. It never rains but pours. Shved, very, very good. It never rains, it pours. I'm going to share these with you. I'll go over them again, try and explain them in a moment with you. Excellent. More idioms. Keep them coming in. It's nice. Yeah, good. Nice, Andy from Russia. Well, this is an interesting slant, right, about affecting jobs. How does it affect a job? Because it can physically affect you, but also, as Soror says, the weather can affect people's mood, right? No on, just can affect people's mood. So it can affect their jobs. It can affect their jobs. That's right. If it's raining and you get soaking wet and you're in a bad mood, that will affect your job and how you work and how you work with people, your efficiency, productivity. That's really interesting, Soror. That's a nice angle to take on that question. Right. Let's move on to another question. What causes? Before I do that, let me just... No, I won't do that. No. Slow down. Brilliant. Did I have anything else on jobs? I had farmers, fishermen, builders, postmen, taxi drivers, which you've all mentioned. Excellent. Okay. So here's another question. What causes the weather to change? And this question takes me back to when I was 14 years old in Mr. Pickering's geography class, talking about something about air pressure and wind, and there was diagrams of things moving and going up. Do you remember that? Geography class, what causes the weather to change? Now, there's lots of things you can mention. Somebody, Hatel, come back, stop running away. Your message is running away. Global warming is a nice one, obviously. That's something we can talk about. Somebody else has put a bit of a abilasha. The weather is changing. The weather changing. Oh, no, good. The weather changing is due to global warming. Deforestation, which leads to shortage of downpours. Very, very good. Rima, thank you for that. I've got it on cloud 9. Good one. Nice. Global warming, geographical conditions, that's true. It's all about global warming, pollution, carbon dioxide, global warming, ice melting, humidity levels, all of these, greenhouse effect. So make a note of all of these. Greenhouse effects, global warming, CO2 emissions, deforestation can all play a role. Brilliant. So all of these are key vocabulary for you guys. Absolutely. Greenhouse gases, weather changes. Now then, here we've got somebody who watches the weather, somebody who paid attention in geography class. Weather changes because of air pressure. That's one of the number one reasons we get weather changing, because of the air pressure. So with this question, you've got the geographical kind of geography explanation, and then you've got the news current affairs explanation talking about global warming and all of those branches. Great. Tina, what do you mean the most problem is people? What do you mean by that? I assume you mean global warming, right? Ice melting, Isra, very good. Climate, oh, here's another one. Global warming or climate change. A nice one here. Again, Tina, greenhouse gases. People burn the forest that could, another one, be affected, not be affected, that could affect weather change. Deforestation has come up a few times. Oh, this is nice. Shirin, low precipitation and drought could spell disaster for farmers. Wow. That's going to the last question, but that's nice. Low precipitation is the humidity. Drought, no water, could spell disaster. Lovely expression. Make a note, please. Could spell disaster. Excellent. So you've all got a lot of the things here. Very, very, very good. I'm going to take you back. Do you remember, as I mentioned, going back to school, right? You probably saw a picture like this. Let me share this with you, because I thought this was, it took me straight back to the classroom, right? When you were at school, sorry, Shirin, you're going to evaporate. What causes weather? Right? Now, weather on Earth is caused by heat from the sun and movement of the air. It's all about air pressure. All weather happens in the lower layer of Earth's atmosphere, which is a layer of gases surrounding the Earth. So up here in the atmosphere, that's where it all happens. The sun's heat warms the air in this layer to different temperature levels in different places. Heat from the sun. Look at that, heat from the sun. And how cool is this little website? Because what it does as well is you can go like that. Heat from the sun. Isn't that good? Isn't that good? Isn't that cool? Ba-bum, go away. Ba-bum. Heat, warm air rises and then cold air rushes in underneath to replace it. So the warm air rises. I'm pointing. Of course, you can't see me. Goes up here. The other air rushes in. And the movement of air is what we call wind. Wind brings changes in the weather, such as clear sunny skies or heavy rain. Blah, 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 goes on and on. Brilliant. It goes on to talk about fog, rain, snow, extreme weather, such as storms and blizzards. What a great little website. So, listen, let me share that website with you. You can go and have a look later. And you can learn a little bit about what causes weather and some nice vocabulary and collocations that you could use. There you go. Find out all about the earth and the weather. Great. I should have been a geography teacher, not an English teacher. Geography. Great. Brilliant. So people are talking, now we're getting it. People are talking about water cycles, the vapor cycles. Excellent. Well done. Now, here we go. Yep, Pachu, you're right. The heat from the sun evaporates the water from the sea and then it goes up. After that, it cools down and it rains, pours. You get soaking wet. Topography, excellent. Nice one. That is a key field to talk about this stuff. Industrialization may cause it. Right, the bottom line, says Jeffrey. I think the bottom line, nice, the most important thing is climate change itself. People are desperately utilizing a lot of fossil fuels, and as a consequence, humans are becoming unaware of the negative end results of too much pollution. Lovely, Jeffrey. Very, very good. Excellent. So I think, yes, these are some of the reasons that we've got air pressure, wind. What changes the weather? The seasons can have an impact on the weather, seasons as well. So definitely air pollution. You're right. You're very young, Rehen. I can't imagine you can even talk. Never mind talk English. Great. Our youngest student. Air pollution can cause long-term effect for people such as respiratory disease and lung cancer. Yes, that's very, very true. Okay, good. Condensation. Yep, too much heat can cause loss of water from the sea. Is that right? I didn't know that. It actually causes the loss of water from the sea. I didn't know that. But then surely if the sea levels are rising because the ice cap is melting, this is a good balance. Maybe. I don't know. Right. Divya, this is a nice answer. There are ample reasons. There are ample reasons, but I would like to put forth is desertification. Yes. Okay, so listen carefully. There are ample reasons, but the one I would like to put forth is desertification. Nice, Divya. Great. Well, yes, CO2 emissions, absolutely. So CO2 emissions, do I know what that happens? CO2 emissions, they come into the atmosphere, and I think one of the biggest problems is it kind of blocks the atmosphere. The heat from the sun comes into the earth, and we've blocked it so it can't go out. It's trapped. That's the greenhouse effect, right? It's like we're trapped inside this greenhouse because of all the CO2 emissions have trapped us inside and trapped the heat from the sun that cannot escape, and we get hotter and hotter and hotter, and the whole globe gets hotter. Right. Emmy, not your cup of tea. Don't worry. You don't need to learn geography. You just need to know a little bit to explain what's going on. Brilliant. So, guys, we are almost coming. Yes, Andy, you're right. Cloud seeding. That's interesting because some countries, and I remember when I was living in China, the government did cloud seeding quite a lot, actually, to control the rain or the weather, especially for special events. And I think I remember most when they had the Olympic Games in Beijing, 2008, and they seeded the clouds so much just before the events to make sure we had good weather during the Olympics. So, and that's not the only country that cloud seeds. A lot of countries do that. So we've got this problem that Amgad has said, ozone layer. So that atmosphere depletion, it's being destroyed. So we're no longer protecting ourselves from the sun's heat, but we're also not letting the heat escape. Do that in your exam. Escape. Great. So listen, we're going to have to wrap up. Let me just come back and share 3 idioms that have been shared. There may be more, but I've just seen 3, and I'll share these with you. Bum, bum, bum. Come rain or shine. Great. Come rain or shine means whatever happens, right? So I'm going to the park, come rain or shine. Yeah. I'm going to give my presentation tomorrow in the meeting, come rain or shine. I don't care if the boss doesn't want me to. I don't care if I've got a cold and I'm sick. I'm going to present, come rain or shine. Great. It never rains, it pours is a nice idiom, which means everything happens at once. Right? So typically, the idea is that, of course, the farmers are waiting for the rain and it never rains and they get worried. And then suddenly one day it rains, but it rains so much it floods the field and destroys the crops. So everything happens at once, and it's a negative thing, right? It's a negative thing. The farmers. Well, it's normally negative, actually, maybe not always. So it never rains, it pours. You know, it's like, no, it can be positive, because the example I'm thinking of is, let's say you've applied for 20 jobs and you're waiting, and then you get no answers, like for a month. And then suddenly one day you get 10 answers, 10 letters saying you've got the job. It never rains, it pours. Everything happens at once. So it can be positive, actually, not just negative. On cloud 9 is happy. To be on cloud 9. I am happy. I am happy to be here with you guys, to be on cloud 9. I'm on cloud 9 to talk about weather, geography, and English. To be on cloud 9. Great, excellent. Some very, very nice expressions there. Lovely. So, well, there's so much good language that's coming up from you guys. I'll share a couple more with you. Acid rain is a good thing to talk about. Yep. Very, very nice. Ecological imbalances. Lovely collocation. Don't forget the fluency, Jim. Daniel, I haven't forgot the fluency, Jim. I have not forgot the fluency, Jim. In fact, that's what I'm going to do now because it's time. Oh my God, it is time. It's 11 o'clock. So we're going to wrap up on the weather. Thank you very much for that. Let's do 5 minutes of fluency, Jim. Fluency, Jim, will get you fit and fluent in English. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, find my notes. So have a drink. If you've got your tea, unlike me, have a little sip. Keep hydrated. It's really important. Fluency, Jim, today is on the past tense. So before we've looked at the present tense, the present perfect continuous, and today I'm going to do the past tense. For those of you who are new, Ankur, bye-bye. For those of you who are new, the fluency, Gym, is like going down to the gym to work out. So I'm just going to do some very simple practice to get you more fluent and focus on intonation, focus on the sounds, right? I'm not going to show you the words because I don't want you to read. I want you to listen. Train your ear to listen to the sounds and to listen to the intonation. Intonation, there are three things, right? Listen for rising, rising, and listen for falling, falling. Hello, that's rising. Hello is falling, right? Rising, falling is the other one. Hello, rising, falling. So listen for these intonation patterns in the sentence and just follow me. I do two things. I say the phrase and I want you to repeat. I then say the phrase without the words. So it's a D-D-D. D-D-D-D-D-D-D. And I just want you to repeat D-D-D-D-D-D-D, right? Because it's easier to focus on the intonation. And then we'll repeat the words again. And I may just point out some connections or things that are a bit unusual. All of these come from Part 1 questions. So these are also kind of nice answers for the questions, okay? But they're just focusing on phrases, right? Okay. People are writing D-D-D-D-D-D-D. It is hilarious. It is very funny, very funny. Yes. Brilliant. Good. So let's begin. Are you ready? So past, we're talking about the past and past habits. So the thing to remember in the past, we can use did, we can use used to, or would, right? Those are three things we use to talk about past habits. For example, swim, the verb swim, swam. I swam a lot. So let's begin with that, okay? I swam a lot. Right, no, you've got to repeat, right? Got it. I swam a lot. D-D-D-D. I swam a lot. Great. Notice how we're linking swam a lot, right? It sounds like one of the knights of King Arthur's round table. Knight Sir Swamalot. Sir Swamalot. It's one sound. Next one. I used to swim a lot. I used to swim a lot. D-D-D-D-D-D. I used to swim a lot, but I don't anymore. D-D-D-D-D-D. But I don't anymore. And all together. I used to swim a lot, but I don't anymore. D-D-D-D-D-D. D-D-D-D-D. I used to swim a lot, but I don't anymore. Okay, got it? Great. And you should be able to hear the stress as well, the D, 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 D. Listen for the stress. I would swim a lot as a child, D D D D D D D D. I would swim a lot as a child. Great. I forgot to tell you the question. The question was, did you do water sports as a child? I forgot to tell you the question. Next question. Did you take art classes when you were a child? So here we go. I've got to think. Yes, I had to do art classes at school. It was mandatory. D. D D D D D D D D D D D D D. Yes, I had to do art classes at school. It was mandatory. I realise that was a bit long. I'll try and break it down. And the next question, did you eat a lot of cakes or desserts when you were younger? Yes, I did. D. Yes, I did. In my family, we would have a dessert every day after dinner. D. In my family, we would have a dessert every day after dinner. The next one. Did you enjoy learning history when you were a child? Ready? Not really. I didn't like it much. D. Not really. I didn't like it much. Okay. Also notice like it much, like it much. Again, it's like a sound. It's like a surname or a family name. Mr. Like It Much. Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Like It Much. Think of a sound, like it much. I didn't like it much. Falling intonation. I didn't like it much. Nice. It carries on. Okay, not really. I didn't like it much. I often used to skip history classes. D. I often used to skip history classes. To tell you the truth. D. To tell you the truth. Notice it's not to tell you, it's to tell you the truth. To tell you the truth. Put it together. Repeat. I often used to skip history classes to tell you the truth. And the whole answer. Not really. I didn't like it much. I often used to skip history classes to tell you the truth. Challenging, I know, but you can always come back, listen to this and practice again. Focus on the sounds. I don't want to show you the words because I want you to focus on sounds. Guys, that's it. That is the Fluency Gym. Fantastic, nice workout. Well done, all of you. Keep going, keep motivated. The Fluency Gym is really good because you can do this every day, especially now so many people are confined at home and cannot get out. You can just practice this every day. I guarantee if you do these like every day for maybe 2 weeks, even for 10 minutes, you'll start to notice a change. So brilliant. Guys, thank you very, very much. Keep at it. You're doing a really, really good job. I'm so pleased to see so many mistakes. I'm so pleased, really, to see you trying new language and sharing all of these ideas. I think you are the best students in the world. Great. Good. I'm glad to see quite a few of you like it. It can help you. I hope so. Excellent. Guys, thank you very, very much. We're going to finish here. I'm about to rush to get some tea, of course. Actually, I might have a coffee today, just for a change. Do you know why? Because my daughter has made a bizcocho. Bizcocho is a nice sponge cake, and that would be lovely, right? 11s. A bit of cake and coffee before my next class in 20 minutes. Brilliant. Take care, everybody. All the best. Bye-bye.